This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act. The schedule of meeting is in file at the Borough Clerk's office, was posted on bulletin board, and has been mailed to the local source and Star Ledger. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Paserno?
Here.
Mr. Shelby?
Here.
Mr. David?
Here.
Mr. Grimaldi?
Here.
Mr. Pantina?
Here.
Mr. Maggio?
Here.
Mr. Ladowdy?
Here.
Mr. Colella?
Here.
Mr. Scuderi?
Here.
And Mr. Herbalario?
Here.
Could we have a motion to approve the February 14th minutes? Wait a minute. What is that? Easy. Get off the door.
Didn't you take your wife out that night?
Just one moment. Sorry, you're going to do good tonight. Can we have a motion to approve the September 12th minutes? Second. Moved by Mr. Mazzio, seconded by Mr. Ladati. All in favor? Aye. Any communications, Kevin?
No.
Seeing none. Number 6, I don't know why this is like out of order for me here. We have resolutions now. Right? And we're seeing none. We're going to move right into new business, okay? And that would be application 5-19, Dennis Schultz, 322 North 18th. Anyone here representing that? Okay.
Excuse me one second. Kathy, did anyone notice, did Ventos notice for tonight? Just in case there's anyone here.
Yes, they did.
We need to carry.
Yeah, why don't we carry that first? In case anyone's here, we can have them leave, carry it to November 14th.
Do you want to go that route first?
In case someone's here, I don't want to have it.
Is anyone here for Ventos? Seeing none, we could just move on, okay? Excuse me, Marcus, do you want this moved out of the way? Or is that okay there? Oh, he's got a camera there? It's okay.
Turn around. Kathy,
Just, there you go.
notice and publication, or I think we're good. I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, sir?
Good evening. Frank Gagliardi from the Hale office of Jarrodon Wargaft on behalf of the applicant.
Okay.
Counselor, why don't you spell your name just for the record?
Last name is Gagliardi, Guagliardi.
Thank you.
So this is just, I'll give a brief overview. This is a second floor addition and a small first floor addition to a property located in the R6 zone in Kenilworth. Right now, the home is approximately 855 square feet. It has minimal usable space. And I have Ed Deck here as our engineer, Roger Winkle, and I also have the applicant here for any specific questions. But if there are no preliminary questions, I would like to call Ed Deck as our engineer.
Okay. At this point, I think we'd like to get our professionals and everyone sworn in here. Okay?
Chris, and Kevin, with regard to this application and anything else that may come up tonight, do you swear your testimony and comments shall be the truth?
I do.
That was our board planner and our board engineer.
Okay. Mr. Deck? How you doing, Ed?
Good.
Can you state your name, spell your last name, please?
Edward, middle initial S, last name Deck, DEC.
Mr. Deck, you've been here before, you've qualified as an engineer.
I have it in Windsor.
I'm assuming your license is still
Yes, still
good?
paid for it.
And you're calling him as an engineer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. If it's acceptable to the board.
Yes.
Thank you.
You got the floor, Ed.
Okay, we're here for the application for 322 North 18th Street. It's located on the westerly side, north of 18th Street, so halfway between the intersections and where the other road is. It's a 5,000 square foot lot, 50 by 100 feet. Existing on that property is a existing single-family, 1.5 story structure. We're here tonight to get the approval for the expansion of that existing...
Excuse me, I'm going to have to ask you to speak up because that's on, but they're paving and doing all that craziness out there. We're not going to be able to get you.
Not a problem.
Okay.
The existing property has an existing one-family residential structure, 1.5 stories. We're here tonight for the proposed expansion of that structure for a 2.5-story and an increase in the footprint of the building. The proposed building will have side yard setbacks on the southerly side of the property, sideline, an existing side yard setback of 5.03 feet, and on the right, a proposed side yard setback of 5 feet. This zone is the R6 zone, which requires a 25% total side yard of 12 feet. We are proposing a total side yard of 10 feet. There's also a minimum requirement for one side to be 8 feet. Again, both of the proposed side yards, one existing side yard and the new side yard along the expanded part of the building will be also 5 feet. So those are the variances that we are requesting in order to have the building constructed as proposed. We have an existing driveway which services the building. Presently, it's located on the northerly side of the existing building. Proposed driveway will be intersecting the facade or the front part of the building. On the north side, the driveway will extend a little bit beyond the building line itself, by about 2 feet. And the garage width, where the driveway is going to service the garage, is 9 feet, 5.75 feet. I guess the application has, we received comments from both the board engineer and the planner. The board engineer's comments we've been through, and we agree to meet those comments and requirements. We will be doing the connection of the roof leaders out to the existing inlet in the street. Also, as part of the new zone requirements of the zone of 120.22.16, we will be doing a soils test to determine, to be sure that the depth of seasonal high groundwater will be 2 feet below our proposed footings of the expanded part of the building. On the planner's report, I'll bring the board's attention to, oh, by the way, the easel and the plan that's on the easel is the same plan that each board member has in front of them. There's no changes. The planning comments start on section 3 on page 1. The concern about the side yard setback.
Mr. Beck, are you reading from the October 7th, 2019 from the planner?
Yes, that's correct. I guess, but it's the letter by the board planning planner dated October 7th, 2019. On sheet 1, section 3, there's a concern about the way the adjoining building is situated in relationship to the proposed building setback. The comment is that there appears to be 3 to 4 feet from the building on the adjoining line appears to be 3 to 4 feet from the existing fence. I saw that, I kind of think I didn't measure it, I didn't do that in the field, but it appears to be closer to 4 feet for the entire width between the property line and the adjoining building. We have a quarter of a foot between our property line and the fence, and that distance, which you would look at the gate and the 2 posts, is probably closer to 4 feet. So I would say we're looking somewhere between 4 and 4.5 feet of a separation between our property line and the building to immediately to our right of the adjoining property. The other comment is about the door landing. I will have the architect address the landing and sidewalk there, and also the patio. The applicant feels that is large enough. The percentages of total impervious coverage for the lot is about 68%. We're allowed 75, and the percentage of building coverage, we're allowed 50, we're close to 39%. So if the applicant does decide at some time in the future to expand that patio, he has the available area to do that. The discrepancy between the two stairways can be explained by the architect who's here tonight to describe the plans, and also the comments about the colors and composition of the materials that will be used. As far as the bulk variances and the proofs, we feel that the hardship, if you could consider this a hardship, is that the lot is underused as far as what we consider the normal lot that is in Kenilworth as far as the side yard setbacks. You're allowed 5 feet in the R5 zones and the other residential zones. This is the only zone that requires the larger side setback. I guess the positive to this proposal is that it would be a house that fits the current neighborhood. If you look across the street, there are new houses there. The house immediately to the north, to the right of the property, is a relatively new house. Both larger lots, but both larger houses. So we feel that the benefit would be that the expansion of this building would fit the neighborhood and actually help that as far as the aesthetics go of the entire street itself. As far as the negative criteria, we feel that the impact would not have a negative effect. Again, bringing up the case that majority of the setbacks within the town are 5 feet and 5 feet allowable. And the house immediately to our north, which I would agree with the planners, has less than 5 feet, but I would say somewhere between 4 and 5 feet, is on a much larger lot, and yet their setback is less than what we are proposing on our smaller lot. So we don't think it's a negative impact in that respect. And I think that's pretty much what I have to say at this point.
And just with that, if you wanted to just touch upon, again, the house directly to the north, and how that at the current moment is closer in setback, correct?
Well, yes. As pointed out by the planner, somewhere, according to his estimation, between 3 and 4 to the fence line. Our fence is a quarter of a foot already onto the adjoining property. So
I missed that, Ed, I'm sorry.
okay, the planner's estimation of the distance between the fence, which is the neighbor's fence, and the neighbor's house is approximately 3 to 4 feet. But we're already starting at a quarter foot more because their fence is like 3 inches onto their property, so it's a quarter of a foot more than that 3 to 4 foot estimate. My estimation, although not measured, we have to think because the fence posts. So in my opinion, it's closer to 4 or 4.5 feet between our property line and the adjoining building immediately to our right.
But you didn't measure.
I had not measured it, it was the planner's measurement, I believe, not done, other than an estimation. And that is a bigger lot, and their side yard setback is less than 5 feet. And our proposed building is on a smaller lot, and we are proposing 5 feet. So we feel that there's no negative impact based on just that immediate relationship between our proposed lot and the adjoining property.
Okay. Is that everything, Ed? Mr. Deck, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. If the board has any questions for Mr. Deck, if you don't mind, maybe we should hold him to hear the architect's comments, and then we could call Mr. Deck back, if you like, unless anyone has anything pressing. Okay.
I'd like to call Roger Winkle as our architect.
Sir, could you raise your hand, please? Thank you. With regard to this application, do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Could you state your name and spell your last name, please, for the record?
Roger Charles Winkle, Winkle, 947 Park Avenue, Plainfield.
Why don't you briefly qualify
Yeah,
Mr. Winkle? I don't know if he's here before.
I haven't been to Kenilworth Board for a good number of years. So,
In the plane of the chair, I work with Mr. Winkle in other communities where I serve as planner, as well as on private jobs, presuming his license is still current. He's been accepted by all of the boards where I work as a licensed registered architect.
Everything's in order?
yes, just so you know, I've been licensed since 1981 and been in business since 1984 for myself, so 35 years here.
And we have, I'm assuming we have what you're going to be referring to already.
Yes, should be in your pack.
Yeah, look like it. Okay.
Can we spin that?
No, we don't have to mark it.
Thank you.
I'm going to flip this over first and talk about the floor plan, then we can
If there's anything we don't have, let us know so we can mark it, but it looks like we're good to go.
That one plan is the same plan that you have, except I took the colored pencil and shaded in the front elevation, so if we need to mark it...
We probably will, yeah.
We will.
Okay.
Okay. Well, basically, the existing house is a 1.5-story home. It is the smallest home on the street, and the existing footprint is only 855 square feet. And there is no living space on the second floor. There's simply attic space, storage space. So this is a very small and undersized home. So Mr. Schultz wants to expand into a more normal size home. And with this proposed expansion, will be about the same footprint size as most of the homes on the street. That street does dead end on the street. So what we were proposing to do is add 15 feet to the rear of the existing home and 9.9 to the right side of the home. I believe this is the only home on the street that doesn't have a garage. So by adding our 9 feet 9 inches to the right side, we can provide a garage. And that's about the minimum size that you can do a garage. So we're not trying to over-design the right side of the house. This is sheet A1, and it shows the foundation plan. This square in the front left is the existing foundation. To the rear, the 15-foot foundation, which will be a basement, and to the right side, the garage. So the existing is 855. The proposed new square footage would be 626, and the proposed first floor would be 1,481. So basically, I'll go through the floor plan, but we have designed a center entry, which you will go through the door to a small foyer and straight up the stair to the second floor. To the left is the living room, to the right is the dining room, And then as you go to the rear of the living room, there's a hallway space with a bathroom that has a shower. And to the rear is a large open family room, kitchen, dinette area, which is typical with the open space design in most new homes today. In front of the kitchen is the dining room. So that's basically the floor plan. In back of the garage is a little mudroom area, and then more or less a storage pantry. As I said, the square footage, usable square footage of the first floor is 1,481.
Need an assist.
I think I better do that before it falls. And then the second floor, as you go up to the top of the stair, there's an open hallway foyer, which is actually a decent size. There is really no hallway corridor. If you get up to the top of the foyer and everything is off that open loft space or so. There are 4 proposed bedrooms, 2 in the front, 2 in the rear, including a master bedroom suite, which is basically 17 foot 1 inch by 17 foot 6 inches, and off of that is a master bath. And toward the front of the house is a large walk-in closet. So the master bedroom suite is quite large and very nice. There are 2 other bathrooms. One for the front right bedroom has its own bath, so that's what we call the princess room. And then the 2 on the left have a bath in between, and they would share that bath. So the second floor space is 1,676 square feet, which brings the total proposed living space of the house to 3,157. Just want to go back to the first floor for 1 second. As I mentioned, the garage, we kept it at a minimum because we knew we were getting closer to the lot line and would require a variance for the side yard setback. But basically, that's the minimum size that we could make it to get a garage. And then we have not encroached or expanded to the left side at all. We just went directly back. So the proposed front elevation shows the home that we're proposing which would have a stucco finish and a stone water table finish underneath the bay windows and around the garage door entrance. It has the center double doors with a little balcony platform that's just decorative, so that the entry gets covered. And we have the double A over the main section and another small gable decoration over the room above the garage. The side elevation, the right side would be probably easier to see. You can see that it's just a standard gable with the front dormer gables framed into it. Same thing with the left side elevation. If you look at the left side elevation, that area that is not shaded in, that's the old house. So the new house, as far as volume is concerned, is more than twice the size of the old house. And the rear is a simple design, just flat wall design. The house was 33 feet, 10 inches in height. The planner had a...
34.14.
Yes. Just a couple of remarks, I think, that he mentioned. One question was that there was 2 stairs shown on, I don't know if it was on A1 or A2. A1, which is this. There's a stair in the rear, which is a proposed Bilco door. So that's this hatch-style door that sits in the ground. You bend over, open up the metal doors, and you could go down to the basement. And then there's the exclusion.
One second. Is there any way that you could shut those mics while you're fumbling those papers? I'm sorry. And not fumbling the papers, you know what I mean? Because that's going right through this, and I can't hear anything. And then if you pick them back up, or turn them to the side or something. Sorry. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry.
So you're probably familiar with the Bilco door, but that's the Bilco door in the rear, and this is the new stair coming down to the basement.
A1 showed stairs here
Oh, okay,
and stairs here.
Okay.
And I wasn't talking about that.
okay. And I can explain that too. But we have to go to A5, I think. A5 is a cross-section through the proposed house, and there are the second set of steps, because we are proposing to make the new basement deeper than the existing basement. So in order to do that, we need to reinforce the foundation at that point, and we need to provide access through a set of stairs. So that's the second one. There was also, I think, a question about the door from the garage. Is that what it was?
There's a north side door without a landing. Okay. So is that the garage door?
That's from the garage, so that would really be a grade. It wouldn't need a landing, but we would probably put in a concrete pad there.
Okay.
And I think that might be it for the comments.
I think he had a comment with regard to the patio, the size of the patio on the back.
Yes, I believe Mr. Deck had testified to that, and I had also spoken to the applicant. The patio size is more than okay, and at this current moment, there's no intention to expand or...
The stairs are shown to land on the patio. So you're losing a few inches. Should the patio be moved to accommodate an actual landing? Right now, your plan, I think it was the site plan, shows them going over. So the patio is here and the stairs come down like this.
So then we'll adjust it to make sure there's room apart from the stair coming down. Well, I guess basically I just want to say that the house is similar to homes that are being built these days for single-family homes. And it's just under 3,200 square feet, which is a fairly good-sized house, but I wouldn't call it a extra-large house. And I think it will fit very nicely on this site. I think if you look at the aerial view on the back of the report, you can see how it is the smallest house on the street right now. And once this addition would go on, it would be pretty close to the same size as the other homes on the street.
Is that all you have, Mr. Wingo?
Yeah, I think I just didn't, I talked about the stucco and the stone. I just wanted to mention that the remaining 3 sides of the house would be vinyl siding.
No further questions?
Well, we're going to start with some questions, and I'm going to go to the board again. Would you like to hear from our professionals then ask you questions, or would you like to? Okay, let's do that. Thank you very much. If we need to have some questions answered, we may get them answered right now. And then,
Any other witnesses, Counselor?
No other
Okay.
questions.
is the owner of the house here?
Yes, he is here, if you have
We
any
need to
specific
speak?
questions. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to start with Kevin.
Thank you, Chairman. You've seen my report. I am concerned about the side setbacks. This is the R6 lower density zone. This property just happens to be caught in this zone. It is substandard, but it would fit in the R5, where most of our residential homes are, but here it is in the R6. So there is a problem with the size and shape of the lot, and that it does not fit this zone. However, I am just concerned with the side setback because at 5 feet on each side, there's not a lot of space to do anything. I mean, to push stuff to the back of the house is going to be tight. I don't see a problem with maintenance, but I am just concerned that the pattern, the character of the neighborhood, the pattern shows some distinction between all the houses, and this one will be fairly close to the one to the right, which admittedly has a substandard setback, which is not this person's fault. So it's a matter for the board. If you think that there should be some more space, you could talk to them about pushing it back a little. If you are satisfied that this does fit the character of the neighborhood, you can certainly approve it as it is.
Go ahead.
Question, Mr.
Sure.
You want to give some...
I just had one question pertaining to what he just talked about. In the R5, he would be in total compliance.
Yes, sir.
Okay, in the R6, what is that exact setback?
It's 8 feet.
8 feet, both
As opposed
sides?
to 5, both sides. 8 feet both sides with 12% of both as a total.
Totals,
But
right.
if you figured out a 60-foot wide lot, it would be somewhat larger. It would be 15 feet.
And the house to the right of that, their side yard setback is less than 5?
Yes, it is definitely less than 5. I estimated 4. Mr. Deck agrees with that general
Okay.
area.
And that's the side that butts up against their property, and what about the other side?
Correct. Now, the other side, there's plenty of room to the next.
Plenty of room.
And by leaving their house where it is, at the 5-foot line, I don't see that as
And the house,
having the character of the neighborhood at all. And in fact, prior to the rezoning, these were 5-foot setbacks.
okay. And the house to the left of this property?
Yes, as we say, that's about 4 feet, maybe a little bit more away. Certainly not the 8 feet that's required now. It might have been the 5 feet that was required before 2015.
To the right of me.
To the right.
To the left, you're...
Left, you're 20.
Plenty of room. I suppose. To the right.
So basically-
Push over a little bit, I don't know. Maybe they measured it at 5, it was,
You say 5, you say potato. So last question, and then I'll give it to Nick. Basically, if you were to look at the house and this house was up, it would almost look like it conformed to what's going on the left and right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
So based on what the chairman has asked, and it sounds like also, you said before the ordinances may have been changed.
They were changed in 2015, that's
That-
correct.
Okay, so then it would have been 5 and 5 on either side.
That's
In
correct.
case this house would conform that way, even with the 50-foot
Right.
lot.
And as you know, the ordinance is a one-size-fits-all, so we can't capture that one
No,
isolated lot in the neighborhood.
I get it. So let me ask a couple questions that Mr. Rinaldi were just discussing. So, one, remind us the 25-foot front setback, which is not in question.
Correct.
Until I ask this question, it's 26.74 feet to the foundation, but the windows count. Because the windows, if you look on the last page of Mr. Winkle's sheet 5 and 5, the windows, they would come out, I don't know what this is, which is not dimensioned, what the outcrops of the windows, would
We
that?
don't generally count those, we count the overhang.
They're already,
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a cantilever,
Unless, yes,
and it looks like it's approximately 2 foot.
that's correct, and that fits the ordinance.
That's allowed.
We don't do bays unless they go like beyond the cantilever.
Okay. So, the other, go ahead.
It's not just a window, it is walking surface, that's cantilever.
Yeah.
You can step
Upstairs.
No, first floor.
Look at sheet 5 on the architect's plan.
I'm sorry, I missed your question?
Look at sheet 5 on the plan, it's not the window that's cantilevered, and it's not just the second floor. This is the first floor that is, it appears to be a 2-foot cantilever on the first floor level. So the question is, if the setback problem is purely just the foundation, or, again, this is a first floor cantilever that appears to be a 2-foot cantilever, which would then put it
Then you would have another
need
variance.
to notice for that variance, not that we're saying it's a negative thing right now, but to make sure it's included in what we're presenting in front of it. Well, not what I'm asking, I'm not sure. That's
The
what
site plan,
our papers about.
No, look at the architecture plan.
I understand that, but the site plan apparent, I would imagine, takes that into account because they're showing a 26.74-foot setback. I mean, we have to take that into account. We could ask
But it's going to the foundation, not to the,
It's going to the same foundation that the existing was, the existing.
Extends out, and there's a living space, they're walking onto the window sill.
well, then that would be, there's something wrong with the site plan.
Wow.
that's just,
It's going to the same line as the existing now.
Yes, I see that. However, my assumption in reviewing this was that the front line of the house shown on the site plan was the front line of the house in the architectural plan. So perhaps we should recall the witnesses and get that clarified.
That's what Mr. Decker commented.
Okay, can we regroup here and Mr. Deck, can you give us an explanation of what the board members are talking about here?
Ed, if you look on your survey,
Right.
2674 on the left side, which is the existing, goes to the front of the house,
It's the front of the house.
which is the front of the house, which is the front of the house. Now, the front of the house is not the same on the proposed, correct? Because it's got windows, or it's got, or,
Right, I'm still going to the,
but it's got this too, look.
right, and that is part of the bay window.
that's not the window.
Yeah, but look at this, Ed.
Look at this section on A5.
Fifth sheet, last sheet.
Or,
Yeah, 5 and 5. Is mine? Oh, yeah, it's fine.
that's a built structure.
That right there, right.
With floor.
Then my dimension goes to... Existing foundation. Foundations.
So we need that, the cantilever dimensioned and a clarification from our planner if the setback because it's floor, not just a window.
Right.
First floor.
Well, then that's a problem.
Yeah, it's not the window,
Floor without foundation.
I understand.
but it's a floor. It's
If
not
you
a
look at
window.
the site plan on the right-hand side where it shows the proposed property, it shows the bay windows, it shows the front of the house, and I mean, anybody looking at that assumes that's the front line of the house.
That's right. Sounds bumping that a little bit.
But if it's not,
If it is a variance, we requested it at this moment, if it happens to be a variance. Just
depending on what the dimension is for
If it was 1.75 feet or 1.74 feet of a cantilever, it wouldn't be a variance because you're allowed a 25-foot setback.
1.52, because that's on the right side of the house.
Whatever the shortest distance is, right?
That's the shortest is 1.52.
So you have an option, you could shorten that up to 1.52.
As the architect could testify that it's 1.5 and no larger.
Right, and you don't have to go for that variance. Or you could just leave it the way it is, and then we'll talk about the variance.
And under our definition, cantilever only applies to the second floor.
Hold on, sir, I'm sorry.
Under our definitions, the cantilever only applies to the second floor.
Second floor.
So a first floor wall is the front yard setback.
So
this is incorrect.
So gentlemen, we need someone to take charge here and tell us which way you want us to look at this.
We'll pull it back.
Well, it's a 2-foot extension here. We have 1.52 feet
That you could
that we
take.
could take it to. And I believe the consensus with the applicant is that they would take it.
We'll take it down to
1.52 feet back.
No,
Instead of 2 feet
Instead of 2
projections.
2 feet, it would be 1.52, so it wouldn't trigger a variance.
The cantilever will be within the confines of this.
25 foot.
Let's leave that, that's the better way to do it.
Okay, so we're gonna make that note, okay, and we don't have to talk about a variance here.
On that one, right.
For that.
Yeah, right, I just have one.
And that is fantastic. Good job. Yes, sir.
So the differences are extremely minimal, but in looking at the documents, and I'm specifically at the site plan here, it shows in the grid that the front yard setback existing is 26.62. Then when I look at this diagram here, it shows 26.52. And I've also heard reference to a survey that says 26.74. Why are these different numbers?
It's on the other side. It's the other, it's on the left
The
side.
side,
Then what about the other two?
the side,
Left side versus right side.
left side's 23.7.
Yeah, now I see it,
The
thank you.
left side map, the right side dimension is 26.2.
So is the grid, is the median of the two?
And that maintains the same. No,
No, you got it
furthermost
small.
point
Or
down.
the small, so it's 26.5.
Closest point.
It should be
In the grid, it says
26.5.
26.62, so
It should be 26.52.
thank you, that's all I'm saying.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for our planner.
Okay. Mr. Shelby?
Mr. Planner, can we just go over the side yard setback again in the R6 zone?
Mr. Councilman, of course.
It's 12%, you said? It's not a fixed number, it's a percentage, correct?
It's 25% of the width, or in this case, it would be 12.5 of the 50-foot width,
Okay, so it's based on the 50-foot width, not the normal lot size, which is
which is 60.
Yes.
And if it was 25% of 60, it would be 15 feet.
Okay, very good, I just want to make sure.
And that would be the combined.
Yep.
So one side would have to be 8, the other side could go down to 7.
So,
Just want to make sure we're using the 5,000 square foot.
Mr. Benzino?
so going back to, I just have one more question, again, from our conversation, Grimaldi and I, and from listening to your testimony, Kevin, and yours. So, again, the 5 feet on the northerly side, on the right side, we can't control the other side because it's the existing foundation, it's the existing non-conforming. Well, actually, it's the existing feature, right? So, granted, if existing we had 1496, and I understand everybody wants a driveway, or everybody wants a garage and had a driveway. the only way to not be here for variances, other than what we just talked about in the front, is to shave 3 feet off the existing house, I guess.
And they would still need a variance for total side yard.
No, they won't, because if you shave
Well, if you
3
go to
feet...
3 feet.
Well, if you shave 3 feet, we're just talking, right? So I don't want to say I agree at this point, but I understand your report and what you said. It's up to us to decide whether it makes minimum and that the previous ordinances were changed and it would have complied. But I'm just saying that if the northerly side of the existing house, since you're going to knock it down, you're going to keep foundation walls, if that was shaved off 3 feet, you can move the whole structure in 3 feet, in which case you won't need any variances.
You would
Other than the front.
still need the total side yard because that assumes 8 feet on each side. 12.5 is a minimum.
I thought the 12.5 is total and the 8 foot is one side. It was one side, which would be 8 feet on one side.
It has to be 8 feet on both sides.
Oh, I thought it had,
Minimum.
all right, okay, all
But the
right.
minimum is 25%, so this captures the irregularly sized lots.
Got it,
That's why they
okay.
throw the percentage.
Okay, so,
So they'd still be off.
okay, it'd still be off, and that would be more, not necessarily a hardship, but that would be more work on that part. So, getting back to your comment, Mr. O'Brien, about the fact that the 5 feet on either side is gonna be tight to get things in the back. Granted, either side will be tight, although on the left side, even though it's not your, is there a fence on the left side?
On the left side, it's the property owner to the left. They have a fence, yes. They have a wooden fence.
So, being that it's not Mr. Schultz's problem per se, that the house on the right is also close to the property line. And understanding your comment, it'll be tight getting things in the back, but you got either side to get in the back, either the left side or the right side. Could it be an option to possibly screen the right side? Would that help in the close proximity of the house on the right? Not that it has to help.
I think there's a fence there.
What do you mean, there's a buffer?
Yeah, there's a buffer? Or there's already a
There's already a
fence?
fence.
Oh, there's already a fence. All right, we got it.
6-foot vinyl fence.
Okay, I'm just, again, just talking back, it's really up to the board to decide how they want to go on the variances, being that it's an undersized lot, it previously would have complied. That's all, I just had.
5 feet is enough to get
Yeah.
a two-wheel hand truck up there with,
No, I'm only adding to what you had said, so, okay.
you're not going to bring an Amish shed back there.
But you can get an MT-85 back here, machine, which we own, and they do go back and forth.
Yeah.
So, what else we got? Yes, Mr. Ladaki.
Are the air conditioning units in the back, are going to be in the back of the home or on the sides? It should be in the back, right?
Yeah, they
The air conditioning unit's going to be placed in the back, right?
Should be in here.
No, the air conditioner condenser the units are going to be in the back.
It's gotta be over here.
Are they, I don't want to open another plan, but are they not shown on the plan of where the air conditioning?
They're not shown.
No. So the assumption is they have to be in the back.
I understand that, I didn't see them, so that's why I asked the question.
Good point.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions for anyone, for Mr. Kevin? Because you had the floor. Were you done with everything that you had? All right.
Thank you.
If no one has any questions for him at this point, how about you, Chris, from an engineering standpoint?
Thank you, Chairman. The engineer mentioned that they would comply with my letter. He went through items 1 through 3. There was 4 and 5.2 about doing an as-built and adding a detail.
And we would meet all the requirements.
That's all I have.
No, you have to pick it up. Okay. Any of the board members have any questions for any of the professionals that Mr. Schultz brought here today?
Counselor, help me if you could just let me know the applicant, how long has he lived in town?
Yep, so he's actually been in town for almost 10 years, and the whole reason behind this is at some point in time in the near future, he and his wife want to have kids, they want to expand. At this point, that the home in its current state, 855 square feet, isn't really livable space. And in order to, stay in Kenilworth, and make sure, he works in Kenilworth, this is where he wants to be, and this is where he wants to continue to put down roots and have a family, and this is how he would make that happen with this home.
Thank you. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for our professionals? Well, I have one. Did you have one?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Just, Chris, in reference to your report, so no adverse to the grading to the existing grades. Are we getting, right now, are we getting existing topo and then as-built topo, so we have before and after conditions, so...
Well, the survey that he has now is the existing. The as-built will show the proposed.
Okay, we do have the topo. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think that that protects both the homeowners and the neighbor as well.
Yeah, because we know we've had those complaints come in.
Exactly.
So this helps protect the homeowner from questions that may arise afterwards.
People it always says they never had flooding before until somebody started building. And
so
it's designed to protect everybody.
Us, it protects him and...
Anyone else?
Going back to what Mr. Deck said before and what the report said about the high water flood table, and you're going to take borings, I guess, or soil logs.
It'll be a soil log to determine seasonal high groundwater.
Right, so provided what happens with that, not saying anything is going to happen with that, but provided what happens with the results of that, the architectural plans could change.
Could change. Or we might have to address that groundwater situation in a way that be acceptable by...
In which case, that'll be handled through the building department, I guess.
Well, the engineering department.
Or a building unit, right.
And if the application changes, you...
Well, that's significant change we would have to, but I feel confident that that area of Kenilworth is very good soil.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, my question was for Kevin and maybe Chris too. Back in 2015, when this was in R5, then changed to R6, what was the purpose or your understanding of why this went to the R6 zone, if you can remember that?
If you take a look at the aerial from the neighborhood, Chairman, you see all the lots in this area are larger lots. And the purpose of assigning the larger zoning here was to reflect the character of the neighborhood. Unfortunately, because it's a one-size-fits-all, it takes up the whole neighborhood, these odd-sized lots get left behind. And they have to adjust to the new requirements when they come in for a building permit, such as Mr. Schultz did. And that's why the zoning board is here, is to make these kinds of adjustments if the board feels it's necessary.
I just wanted that out there so, our newer members and that are here tonight can understand why we are a planning board and what we have to hear and why we have to handle this type of application very sensitively, because the R6 is there for a purpose. And it just seems like it's a shame that this property has to be somewhat in default of the R6. So that's why we're here tonight. And that's more or less for the newer members on our board to look at those kind of things and look at what Mr. Grimaldi and Mr. Pantina so eloquently pointed out about the setback, because it's those little things that could be missed. So that's all I had, and I just wanted to get that out there for everyone. Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Grimaldi?
And guys, correct me if I'm wrong after this. I was just looking at the sections of the plan. Would the applicant be okay with putting on the record that there would be no plans to use the attic as anything but an attic?
As opposed to what?
As opposed to a living space, since the architectural plans do show windows sized for egressable units out of it.
If I could ask that, why would that impact, or why would that be a condition?
Three-story building now?
You want storage, basically.
2.5.
Limited storage.
But it's drawn up with egress windows out of the attic.
Is that outside of what's allowed?
2 stories?
No, it's 11. It's 11.
3 stories?
No, it's 2.5.
Okay.
Because less than 50%
Yeah.
is at a certain height level. Well, maybe the question to the architect is the reason that those windows are on the third level, is that for aesthetics?
They're just decorative. There's no stair up to the attic, it should just be an
No,
attic.
there is on the plan, it stairs to the attic. It's,
I mean, that's the thing, it was just reading the plans, and there are stairs to the attic, and just by the fact that for some reason, the windows that you're showing there are egressable windows,
it's on
which is required for a bedroom.
A3.
And it's not being presented to us that way. Again, I'm not saying fault or not, but just as I was pointing the other things out, just so that if it is going to be that, so let's put it on record then.
Well, if I may.
At this point, it is not, but if you could ask,
They keep, one of the conditions would be no living space in the attic. That's basically.
If I may, we understand that, what Mr. Bernal, I understand, and we all understand what Mr. Bernal was saying, but if there's egress windows up there or not, and it's in compliance that you can have bedrooms up there, why would we ask the applicant to have a waiver?
They can't have bedrooms.
I'm sorry?
They can't have bedrooms.
Why can't they?
Because we don't allow them, that's not a finished floor. They would not meet codes, either the ordinance or the building code.
No, but
They had stairs going up the roof.
The applicant's intent was never to make it into a bedroom. It was actually thought of as a possible playroom in some sort of fashion. But the intention is never to put a bedroom there.
No living space.
No living
Since
space.
playroom.
So let's,
No bedrooms. No bedrooms.
Okay, so let's be clear. That's where I'm going with this. No bedroom, but living space. If they want to have a bedroom, an arm room, whatever they want to do.
Actually, no living space is allowed under the ordinance, because it's an attic. It doesn't have the clearance.
So everybody that comes before us, are we going to tell them that when we're doing this, that they can't have a living space up there as part of a condition?
well, the ordinance already spells it out.
So if it spells it out, why is it a waiver?
But
I
in
mean,
this case,
a condition.
the design looks as if it would be presenting that it is staring us in the face.
Right. To me, without noting it as a condition, one might look at the plans down the road and think that the board approved
Yes.
it as living space. So I agree, it should be
Just a
conditional.
clarification.
No
That
bedrooms,
it's not living space.
no bedrooms and no living, because if he wants to have a playroom, does the board care?
According to Kevin, it's not,
It's not
doesn't
supposed to be habitable.
ordinance or code, so no living space. So I see it.
So no oven storage, nothing up there?
So,
Correct.
could it be simpler to say that the living space in the house will abide by the current ordinances?
That's
Attic area for storage.
outstanding idea.
Attic's
Attic is
not
not
going to go.
Attic is the.
Mr.
Not
Wiggum,
going to go.
you may ask a question.
It puts it on the record.
you're saying it's not permitted in the zoning code, or it's not permitted in the building code? Because it is permitted in the building code.
Oh, it is.
As long as the attic space is a half-story, you are allowed to finish 1/3, any spot in the attic, 7 feet or greater, is allowed to be finished 1/3 of the area of the second floor. That's the building code. Zoning code depends on whether it's in the, and the zoning code says that you cannot have a habitable third floor.
I think what this board has discussed and probably really tore this whole issue apart, but I think we would put in there as a condition that you would follow the ordinance for that area on that floor. Whatever the ordinance says.
Whatever the code is.
Whatever the code is. And follow it from there.
That works.
If that works, that works.
And that's actually a clause that Mr. Rego puts in, and the applicant has to follow all codes, regulations, and ordinances, so.
Applicants follow codes regarding habitability.
For clarification on that, so
I got it.
with whatever the resolution may be, that would be, it would be in accordance with the building code. So in that sense, it would be able to be used as a playroom, or some sort of, as long as there's no,
That's between you and the building department.
Yeah, I think what I heard was if the
Yeah,
building code allows you to have a room with trains, you can have a room.
you can have a room which,
That's,
so it would just be in accordance with the building code.
yes.
Yes.
But grandma's not going up there to sleep.
It's got to get
Unless she's on the stairs.
Before she's got to make the stairs. That's right. Okay. Is there any other questions that we need to ask? Okay. So why don't we do this? I think we need to open this portion to the public.
Public question.
Okay. Okay, let's have a motion to close this portion.
We just need a motion.
Just to open. Let's have a motion to open to the public. Motion made by Mr. Lally, seconded by Mr. Grimaldi. All in favor? Aye. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this matter and this matter only?
Or ask questions.
Or ask questions? Seeing none?
I make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. David and seconded by Mr. Mazzio. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
If I may make a statement.
You may.
I wanted to spur the conversation, but it was just from the standpoint of clarity. I wasn't setting whether I was approval or denial of the case, just wanted the facts up on there so that we can clearly judge it and look at it.
I think that was very good, but we needed to really explore all of those things, because sometimes I also feel, Mr. Grimaldi, that we talk up here about things that are already in place, and I made a statement about a year and a half ago, is that we had applicants that come in here, and we look at the plans and we hear the testimony, but we have a laundry list of waivers, and I'm trying to keep them down as much as we can. If it's already by building code or by ordinance, it doesn't need to be in there. But this one is good. It says that as long as it's according to ordinance, I'm fine with it.
And again, they're for the borough's protection, but it's also for the applicant's protection, because things come up. Neighbors sometimes could have a problem and raise an issue. So if it's out here on the table, it protects the applicant as well as the township.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Anyone else?
Yeah, as far as the application, the fact that you're adding a garage I think is a necessary thing. The only way you can really add a garage, any minimum garage there, and have the right living space on the first floor, it makes sense to expand the house the way they did, in my opinion. It also, I think in Kevin's words, it's a 5,000 square foot lot that got left behind, so that's where I see the hardship as far as trying to figure out a side yard setback. So for me, that would make sense. That's why I would move to approve the variance. And, as far as the elevation and the type of house, and also compared to I know all the rest of the houses in the neighborhood, I think it would be in line with what's going on in the neighborhood.
It conforms.
Yep.
And I would say too, Mr. Chairman, just on again, collectively, what we've discussed today, and we didn't necessarily beat it to death, but we've discussed a lot of different points. And you mentioned new members, and for new members too, and I gave a point prior. When you look at all of these things and you look at hardships, you try not to be personal, it's for the property, but in this case, Mr. Schultz, or the testimony that you've given, has been here for 10 years, which kind of was before the ordinance was changed. And so you buy a lot that conforms, and then the ordinance is changed, and stuff happens and you get caught, not blindsided, but you get caught in the middle. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I would go along with moving on the variances in this case because of the circumstances at hand.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, to Mr. Mazzio's point, and I completely agree with him, if this was a 6,000 square foot lot, I'd have a lot different thoughts. It's a 5,000 square foot lot that was, frankly, as Nick said, left behind in our plan, so, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, someone like to?
I would like to,
The only two resolutions, conditions that I noted, other than our normal conditions, was that the cantilever area in the front must comply with the 25-foot yard setback, however you want to do that.
Plans will be revised to show that.
Plans will be revised, and we just talked about following the codes, the building codes for the upper area.
And also the soil logs, but
Well, that's in the report.
yeah, that's already in the report.
Yeah, they said they would comply.
The air conditioning units will be to the rear of the house.
Right.
Okay.
The engineering report items 2, 3, and 4 will be addressed.
So with that, Kevin, again, air conditions will be to the rear of the house, but that's by way of ordinance already.
That is correct.
So that's not a condition.
I wish you luck, thank you.
But they're not located on the plans, though.
I'm sorry?
It's not located on the plans.
If it even,
They have to be in the back.
they have to be in the back. It doesn't matter if he missed it or didn't miss it, it's
can we
got
ask
to
for
be.
them to be shown on the plans, on the revised plans?
Of course, if you're gonna revise them, put them on there, but let's get rid of the conditions.
Understood.
Also, plans to be revised to show a landing for the north door for the garage.
North door for the garage.
And to adjust the location of the patio and the rear stair landing.
Got it.
It's under the stairs, so this way we can move it out and get more use of the impervious coverage without.
Okay.
So, before we keep going, I just want to make another observation here and maybe a little bit of a statement to the planner, to the architect, to Mr. Schultz, to the attorney, that this board is hell-bent on trying to get everything on the plan before we have to do this process on what's a condition, what's not a condition, can you bring it back, and this and that. So the more you gentlemen are in front of us, you'll know ahead of time, hey, these guys are going to be looking for this. Let's just get it on there. Let's not go through the motion. Okay? So we already read the conditions.
I'd like to move to approve the application with the conditions as previously stated.
I second it.
Okay. Motion has been made by Mr. Grimaldi, seconded by Mr. Pantina. Roll call.
Wait, just a question. So this is a zoning board vote?
No,
Well, it's planning board,
So,
it would normally, if there were two boards, it'd be a zoning board application. It's the
Right.
planning board, there's no use involved.
my point is 7 votes or 9 votes on this? 9, okay.
The majority of the quorum. Majority of 9.
Majority of 9, got it. Okay.
Yeah, there's plenty.
The last alternate does not vote tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
Scuderi?
So
Who's alternate 2 or?
Oh, Pat.
So the motion was made by Mr. Grimaldi, seconded by Mr. Pantina. Roll call, please.
Mr. Paserno?
Yes.
Mr. Shilkey?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Mr. Grimaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Pantina?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzio?
Yes.
Mr. Ladowdy?
Yes.
Mr. Colella?
Yes.
And Mr. Scuderi?
Yes.
Congratulations. Good job, gentlemen. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry? Okay. Well, they're getting together, we can do a couple of quick houses. You can't share a walk.
No, you can't.
You gotta go. Any comments for the board? Oh, no. I'm sorry. So we have any comments for the good of the board? Seeing none? I'm sorry?
Kevin, Ventos is going to re-notice for the 14th. But we're going to carry, we had to announce that we're going to carry Ventos November 14th.
Before I open the meeting, okay.
Well, we're carrying the current notice pending the finding of completeness And presumably the notice complies with what relief is needed.
I'll call you tomorrow. 14 here.
Okay, guys, we're still in session? Okay. So, did you just make that statement, or do we have to read it again?
Kevin basically indicated that we're carrying Ventos to November 14, 2019, in this room at 7:30, pending their providing our consultants with the appropriate documentation so that it can be intelligently reviewed and brought to the board. If that doesn't happen, then we'll do something on the 14th, carry it further.
Okay. We already did our comments.
I make a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Second.
Motion by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Shelkey. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Let's come on up.
Look at us stay.
Good evening, gentlemen.
State your name for the record, please.
Robert Herbert. Gotta think where I live. 14 North 12th Street, Kenilworth. As you guys know, I attend a lot of your workshops, council workshops, and these meetings. I understand you guys have a committee working on a master plan. I would like to be able to make a comment, if I can, or a suggestion, and it's only a suggestion, is I've seen in the past, Mr. O'Brien, where committees on their own time will take 10 or 20, maybe 30 pages of a master plan, make their notes, and then when they meet, comment on their notes or try to get to a certain point each time you meet. I know that there's 329 pages in our master plan land use ordinance, so if you break that down and the amount of weeks you're going to meet, you do the math and say, look, we need to try to cover these many pages and make our recommendations, suggestions, or leave it alone at that point. And that's, I just wanted to comment on that. It might be an easier way to get through this, that's all. And then the other comment I have, I'm reading the agenda. I see Ventos for an appeal. And I also know that I'm aware of an appeal for Ava Restaurant, and I got a notice to appear on the 14th of November, but it's not on here. Are you guys aware of that?
I'm only aware of what I see as part of an agenda.
So my question is, I guess, the board secretary, is Ava on for the 14th or not? Because I received an email that it was.
When did you get that, bro?
Today.
So maybe we didn't get it to us.
Well, you don't get the agenda for November until November.
Yeah.
And Ventos may or may not going through with an appeal.
Correct.
They're uncertain yet.
Right.
They may just go straight for the variance.
All right. I was under the impression, I got a thing that they were going for an appeal.
Ava has been scheduled for November 14th, and in accordance with how we process appeals, Mr. Herbert has been invited to tell the board why he is denying the application. The applicant has been invited to prepare a statement as to why they think the zoning officer is in error, and you will review their statement prior to the meeting, and you'll hear Mr. Herbert's testimony on the 14th. This is all provided that the applicant is available and shows that night.
And to that point, this board highly recommends that your presence is here. So it's an appeal. You have to give your side.
No, I just want to confirm that it is. I was trying to get confirmation that it's on.
I'm sure it'll be.
My mom has been ill quite often recently, and I've been a little preoccupied. Mr. Shelkey knows, I keep him abreast of when I'm coming and going, and, at her age, my best intentions is to be here, but of course, my mom's going to be first.
That comes first.
Yeah.
No agenda is finalized until the week before hearing. I mean, if Ava contacts us and says we can't make it that night, then we would have to put it back.
Okay.
But it is intended for that night at this point.
Thank you very much.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Grimaldi. All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. David, second by Mr. Pantina. All in favor? Aye. Great meeting, guys and ladies.